Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. As you may have seen, Sopiko has just finished her show and it was dedicated to Nino, one of the top female players of Georgia who passed away yesterday. That's the reason why I'm also wearing black, and I don't think it's going to be a very upbeat and fun session today, but this is what we should do. We should sometimes embrace our grief and just honor the people that touched our lives, and whether it's for a short time or long time, sooner or later it's over for all of us, right? Sorry for the sad news if you didn't know about it, and the not very chill and happy thoughts. Right now, for me, it's going to be very difficult to be in a great mood. So if you missed Sopiko's show, please have a look at it. It's on YouTube. She has analyzed a couple of games that she played against Nino and how an amazing attacking player Nino was. You might remember that 9 months ago I streamed and mentioned Nino. There's this video also on my YouTube channel called Dear Chess Community, and that was a call to action. We were trying to raise money for the treatment of Nino. A couple of you us helped, so I was so grateful to everyone who donated for her treatment. It was amazing to see that you guys all came together and you wanted her to heal. Unfortunately, cancer is not an easy opponent to beat, and 9 months from that video and 9 months from that stream, here we are and Nino is gone. Without further ado, I will try to be doing what I'm here for, a Banter Blitz session without much banter, more of a blitz, more of a let's just come together, all of us, the chess community, and honor the people who were part of the chess community and who will be. 9 months, now that I think of the 9 months that passed between that video and yesterday when we learned about her death. That's what it takes for a new life, right? And that's what it took for cancer to take her away. So that's pretty sad. As I told you, I'll try to play some blitz. I apologize that this is not an upbeat and funny stream. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. Let's go to the play zone. So I'm on chess 24 and I will accept challenges from you guys. Let me see if the board is going to be showing up well or not. I'll accept one of the first challenges. As usual, I try to play someone, pick someone randomly. Please try to challenge me for a blitz game with increment. I'm usually slow, and today I'm totally not going to be in my best. So if you can please challenge me for a game with 3 plus something or 5 plus something, I would appreciate it. An increment. I will wait until I get one of those challenges. Thank you guys for hanging out with me in good and bad. I see that you're here on chess 24. I'm looking at the chat. So let's start with the blitz without banter. I still don't see challenges with increment. Okay, nice C1 from Captain Coca-Cola. I'm going to accept your challenge. And I'm receiving more. Okay, so I said I was going to accept Captain Coca-Cola. Let me go for that challenge. Oh, I cannot click. Give me a second. I'm messing things up. Captain Coca-Cola, I saw you before. And I want to accept, of course, many of the other challenges too, but as I already mentioned your name, I'm going to ask you, accept this one first. It's a 4 plus 2. I don't usually play this time control, but it doesn't really change the fact. Everything with increment is already something better for me than just 3-0, 5-0. So I'll go for my usual opening, 1e4, and then grab the center. This is what you learn when you're a beginner, to take control of the center. The central squares, those are the most important part of the board. And now we are transposing into a Gurgenidze type of Caro-Kann. That's after d5, c6, and g6. That's what my opponent is aiming for. I will play with knight f3, and in case of d5, there's a very solid line that goes with h3. It prevents bishop g4, simply to protect the d4 pawn. After knight f6, it's e5, and white has more space. It's very similar to other Caro-Kann type of positions, and slightly French, but no, the bishop is better here, of course. I'm just talking about the pawn chain. Knight e4. I will not take it. I don't... Actually, wait a second. No, I know that there is a line with the capture, but I will just go for the normal developing move, and I don't mind so much the doubling of my pawns. I can later push c4. Okay, he's grabbing the center. He's trying to attack my center immediately with c5 and knight c6. I think that's a good idea for black. c4. He's playing very fast. He definitely knows this variation better than I do. So Captain Coca-Cola, you're here to try to give me an opening lesson. I see that. I see your intention. Am I up for the challenge? Maybe I shouldn't have allowed c4, because now I'm looking at this pawn chain, and the doubled pawns of c-pawns are not the best. In this case, if I had opened the position and pushing c4 as white, that would have been a different story. So I think it was a mistake to allow c4. But I should hurry up, I should play. Whether it's good or bad, I should play this position. Miktal, I have never played against you. I didn't know that, so I'm gonna accept your challenge. I know that you have watched all my shows. I know that you're always here in the chat. I really thought that we have played already, because I know your username. I read it all the time. I really thought that we have played already. I apologize if we haven't. I want to place my bishop on a3 and play bishop b4, or just simply attack the e7 pawn. I think that after having to play queen d2, this is the most logical. You want the bishop on the other diagonal. I know, Fuxia, I feel the same. Sopiko and I had the Banter Blitz scheduled for today already last week, so we didn't want to change it. We heard about the death of Nino yesterday, and we didn't want to cancel our shows. Partially because we thought that this would honor her memory. Of course, it's very difficult for her and for me and for anyone to talk and to cheer about life in this moment when it's not really a moment for that. But here we are, and as you guys said, we are here in good and bad. So today is not one of those happy days, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't appreciate this day. Actually, every time something that sad happens in my life, it has always been a warning for me as well, because it makes you so sad, it makes you so depressed, that at the same time it wakes you up and it tells you, hey, you gotta enjoy your life until you have one. So yeah, mixed feelings. I'll try not to cry. Not very good at achieving not to cry, right? Okay, f6 is a logical move because he wants to challenge the center. At the same time, I feel like in this concrete position with the queen on a6, I should have chances, good chances. I'm going to take here, trying to open the position as well, because with the queen on a6 is very passive, so that's something that is in my favor. What's not in my favor is time. I'm running so low on time. I will play knight to e5, because if we trade on e5 twice, the d5 pawn will be hanging, so I'm sacrificing on e5 one pawn because after that I can take on d5 with the queen. Of course, he doesn't take it, but now after bishop f3, he still has to deal with that pawn. And e6 is almost trapping his bishop. In the future, I could play g4. So it's better that he's not playing that. I wonder what would be the best for me here. I might take here. Maybe this wasn't the best idea, but what I want to achieve now is to play against this queen, and if the queen goes back to c8 to try to maneuver somewhere more active, it's very bad on a6. So that's my main point in this game, that the queen is very misplaced on a6, and if it wants to go back to c8, I'm gonna take the a7 pawn, and I'm still a pawn grabber, right? Well, if he does not take, I mean, if he doesn't move the queen, he probably wants to push e5 in the future. Shall I care about that? Maybe I should. But I also want to try to double rooks on the b file, although the a pawn will not allow me, so he's going to take my a pawn if I do that. Is e4 very bad for me or not? Maybe it's not bad. Not that bad. If I double, he's gonna take my a4 pawn. That is the annoying thing. So I'll push it to a4. Not that it helps. To a5. My ideal setup would be bringing the rooks to the b file and playing rook b7. Perhaps I can still do that even by sacrificing the a4 pawn. a5. I keep calling it a4. I don't know why. Probably it's because that's where it was before. And I'm very low on the clock. 2-second increment, so it shouldn't lose on time, but I'm capable of that. You know that. I don't know that I'm capable of losing on time, even if it's with increment. If it trades on g4, at least that's helping me to create some kind of threats on the king side. Queen f4, g5, trying to infiltrate the position. Queen f4, queen c7, those are the moves I'm looking at. Just try to activate the queen as well. I could have pre-moved capture. Not very good at pre-moving or, being very practical in blitz. I think this was a good idea to push e3 and attack the a3 pawn. I will have to now give up the a5 pawn in order to save this guy. I can take on a5, but then I play rook b7. Perhaps here something like rook e4 and rook e8 to double up on the e file, and yeah, that's what he's doing. I think that's a good move. How can I save the situation? It's gonna be rook e8 and then he takes. I have no time. No time, and his position is really good. Yes, I think I don't have very good chances here. Now, the queen is coming as well to g4. Yeah, I think this is pretty much lost. I'll try to survive, but I think Captain Coca-Cola pushed e3 in the very right moment. I thought my position was good. It was good without allowing e3. And now I'm pretty sure that I'm lost. The rook should somehow come to the f5. It cannot come immediately. Rook e6 or h5. Yeah, those kind of moves. I'm trying to do something, survive, but I think this should be game over in a few moves. I could only survive if I manage to escape with the king, but where can I escape? Well, now he just takes. Actually, yeah. I'll take here and then it doesn't matter what I do because it's rook e8, so I will resign. Yeah, it was even shorter than what I initially announced. This was a very good game, Captain Coca-Cola. I think you played very well. You played very confident in the opening. You played much faster than I did. Thanks for the game. And I think the turning point was here, because I was looking at this position and I thought a4 is not a big deal for me. Because we trade here, and I was looking at ideas with queen to f4, and, I had attacking plans, queen f4, queen c7, rook to b7, those kind of ideas. But I misunderstood the position that e3 was very strong, temporary pawn sacrifice, after which it's completely a disaster for me. It's a disaster just because of allowing e3, because suddenly bishop takes e3 is a huge threat. I have to prevent it. And now, instead of queen a5, which I think would have been a pretty bad move in comparison to what Captain Coca-Cola played, I think rook e4 is the strongest. Doubling rooks on the e5 and then bringing the queen back. The a5 pawn is not something you should care about in this position. Here, it's all about the e3 pawn and the weakness of the white king. So Captain Coca-Cola played it as well as the position should be played. I think these are the strongest moves. And therefore, I deserve to lose this game. The only way I could have had good chances was not allowing this. So if I understood correctly the position, and if I had realized that e3 is a big threat, e4, e3. e4 I saw, but I thought that I have time for bishop g4 after e4. I could have changed the move order. I could have played bishop to g4 immediately. Whether he takes or not, let me just show you that if he takes and then pushes e4, I have a tempo in comparison to the game. So I can now play queen f4 and do what I was going to do, try to infiltrate the position with queen c7 or just simply annoy the bishop. This is what I should have played. And here I think white has very good chances even for winning because the queen on a6 is misplaced. Hi everyone, just joining in. We are playing some blitz games, but mainly today is about honoring the memory of Nino Hurtidze. If you missed the beginning of the show, then please go to Chess24's YouTube channel and watch Sopiko's show about some of the games that she had played against Nino Hurtidze, who passed away yesterday. It was a very sad news for all the chess community, and we are here to honor her memory. Let's play more games because chess is what connects us, right? Chess is our common language, and that's how we knew Nino as well. Please challenge me with increment. I'm only going to accept challenges with increment. Miktal, I'm going to accept your challenge, but it should be with an increment. So I will play against you today, but please change the challenge to increment. I will go for another one in the meantime. I know that I should play against you. I promised it, and I keep my promises. But first, please, challenges with increment. Okay, I see another 4+2. Maybe this should be a theme of the day. 4+2 time control. Not that I have ever played 4+2, but today it's 4+2. Egan 566, nice to meet you. From the Netherlands, if I see correctly the flag. Yeah, it's just so tiny. 1f3, is that the Hui Fan opening? You see, even on a bad day, you can cheer me up by playing one f3. King f2, alright, you are trolling me, just like Magnus would do. Knight h3, knight f2 was the go-to opening of Magnus Carlsen in a couple of games online. But I see that you go for this king f2 one. Okay. Yeah. I appreciate that you are trying to cheer me up. I really do appreciate this. Yeah, you're cool. But I will still win the game. Wow, what a pawn structure, pushing all the pawns to the third rank. I guess you will at some point play d4. It's not that bad for white, it could be worse. I did pre-move one move, this is incredible. Today already one pre-move made. This is like an exchange French where white went f3 and king f2. Which never happens in an exchange French, but it's not too bad because I cannot really attack the king. I would need to play c5 in order to try to open the position. What do you guys think of the opening? White is not doing so badly. I thought that this position would be much worse for white, but actually he's not doing so bad. I will take on d4 because I should try to open the position, but I don't feel like the king is too bad on f2. It's actually pretty safe now. I guess I didn't find the most accurate way of trying to challenge this f3, king f2 opening. I should have tried something else. What do you think? h3. You want to play f4. And that's certainly the idea after h3. Pushing f4, chasing my knight away. It's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I'm looking at moves with knight c4, where I want to wait for f4. No, actually, yeah, I will wait for f4, because f4 weakens the e4 square. So yeah, you will chase my knight away, but you are giving a square to my other knight. So I will let you do that. I want you to play f4. But if you're listening to me, you will not. Then you will not. I would need to find some place for this bishop. But where shall it be? It doesn't really have a clear route. Where shall this go? I will play h6 first, just in case. I think sometimes bishop g5 could have been a little annoying. And I'm waiting for this bishop to have some good squares. Knight is heading. Okay, now you're preventing knight c4. I will still play this. And I want to play b5, bishop b7, and knight to c4. g4. Okay, so I've been provoking you with that h6 move. I've been provoking you, it seems, and it's working. At least I did manage you to push g4, but perhaps it's actually good. It might be good for white to push g4. I'm looking at this h4 square, queen h4. He's not allowing me, he's pushing h4. So he wants to attack me. So suddenly this game, where I was supposed to be the attacker, it's turning into something different. It's turning into white attacking my king. I need to open this diagonal. I want him to take on c4, and I will place the bishop on b7. Okay, he's not allowing me that. He's taking here because then he wants to play queen d3 with a check. Makes sense. The b2 pawn is hanging, and I might take on e3. So if he pushes g5, which he will, yes, so he did, I will not do that immediately. I will push h5. I want to keep this position closed. I don't want my king to be in trouble. I don't want that. This opening is called the Barnes opening. Thank you, Foxia, for the information. I had no idea what was the name of this. I'm gonna take this because I'm a pawn grabber. I know it takes time. I'm wasting some time going for this pawn, because I will have to come back with the queen, with the knight to c4, I mean. But I like pawns. I like pawns too much. I'm gonna place this bishop here because I feel like I need to develop first, and queen c7, attack the c3 pawn. So I'm waiting with the knight jump back to c4, because while it is on b2, it was attacking the d3 square, and the queen couldn't go away from f1 because knight d3 would have been a fork. Okay, the queen is back on d3, but I'm a pawn up. So let's just play patiently. I might double rooks on the d5. He wants to push g6, but then I'm gonna play f6. Okay, I cannot play f6 until this is hanging, so I need to move this. Then I can play f6 after g6. I don't want the g5 to be open. That's very important, that I don't let this happen. If there will be a GM repertoire on this opening, some DVD or Chess 24 video series, who knows? Maybe if I lose this game, there will be. Created by me. I might. I'm aiming for the c3 pawn, so I'm attacking the queen, and then I'm gonna play rook c8. This pawn is weak. Quality Chess is going to publish one on the Elephant Gambit. It's good to know. That's also a funny opening. There's so many funny openings. I'm going for your c3 pawn. It's a pin on the c file. And he's going for my d5 pawn. Okay, I underestimated that, but the c3 pawn is a passed pawn. 2 squares away from promotion. It should be good for me. Let's push. Yeah, time management is, as usual, my problem. Time management. To attack this guy or not? Pin. There are too many good options here for black, I feel like. So I'm hesitating Did I miss knight d3 the move earlier? Yes, I totally missed knight d3 instead of c2. Okay, so I was winning material and I did not do that. That's not the best news for me that I missed it, because I will have one on the spot. This should be winning too. The f3 pawn is about to fall, the king is weak. But yeah, I could have just won an exchange and I did not. Did not do that. Uh-oh, time. Time. I wanted to take on f3, so I was calculating, but was it working or wasn't it working? I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was working. Oh, now he can play rook e1. Did I mess this up? Big time. I'm losing material. He can take on e8 twice. And the queen is hanging on d6. This is horrible. You see, bishop takes, rook takes, and I lost. I will lose one piece. This was horrible, horrible, horrible. From a winning position, this is how you spoil it. This is how you spoil it, but I will not resign because I still have a queen on the board. But this was just extremely bad. What a bad performance by me. Horrible. This was horrible. I have no other word for it. It's just too bad. I don't know what I'm playing for. Not lose on time. Knight e5, then queen f1. Yeah, today is not the best day for playing chess, I guess. In general. What? That's a free queen. I'm gonna accept it. This was a horrific game. We both played horrible chess. And I pre-moved h4, and if you had played knight e5, then you would have won back the queen because I pre-moved h4. Okay, no comments. This was horrible. I guess, yeah, that was probably mate on the board for white. And also for me. Yeah, queen g8 was mate exactly. Here, queen g8 is mate. Shelling 4, you're completely right. Queen g8 is mate in 1. I think Egon is just as much under this sad circumstance of Nino that we both played a horrible game. This was just very bad. The opening was fun, so I do appreciate that you went for a funny opening, perhaps to cheer me up. I do appreciate that. This is very kind of you. I guess I should have played differently because out of nowhere, white wasn't doing so bad as it should have been after f3, king f2. But I don't want to go through the whole game. I just want to show you after this position. Here, black is completely winning because black is a pawn up and also I'm taking on c3. And what I don't realize the whole time, ever since the queen moved away from the c2 square, there's knight d3. Winning an exchange. No, not an exchange, it's a full rook. So it was knight d3, resign. The king has to step away from the e1 square and I'm taking this one for free. Free stuff. I love free stuff. It was for free and I didn't play it. And then even a move later. So it was a complete blindness from both of us. Egan also, after b takes c3, he had to move the king away. He cannot take on d5 and still allow knight d3, but I didn't play it. So I had 2 missed opportunities for winning a full rook, and I didn't. This is how well I'm playing today, and this is probably showing how much I am into playing Blitz today. But no complaints, we are here to spend some time together and try to make this an instructive session, even if it's not a very entertaining session. So thank you for the game, Egan. You then missed an even bigger opportunity than I did. So yeah, I was winning a rook and you had mate on the board, you had mate in 1. And then you gave me back the queen. So crazy stuff, crazy stuff. All right, Miktal, let me accept your challenge. I hope that you have changed it to increment. Yes, 4+2. Thank you. That's the theme of the day. Everyone wants to play 4+2, so let's go with that. 4+2. 4+2. I really thought that we have played, so I apologize that I didn't realize that we haven't played. I wonder which Sicilian do you play? Najdorf? Not Najdorf. At least not Najdorf, because Sopico is an expert in the Najdorf, and I was worried that you learned from her. The Khan. Too weak, too slow. Yeah, I am. Or we were both with Egan. It was a very strange game, to be honest. I like the Maroczy setup. Maroczy was a Hungarian grandmaster, and this setup is named after him. Pawns on e4 and c4 against various types of Sicilian positions. Sicilian variations. Knight c6 immediately. Is that how it is? Now I'm asking questions because I don't think... Okay, I cannot play e5 because queen a5 wins the pawn. That's the trick. So white would love to play that move, but he or she cannot. And now this is just a normal position where I will push e5, gain some space. Another option was to take on d5 multiple times, but I thought that I don't have anything there without pawns on the board in the center. You play c4 on the second move, Fuchsia. That's interesting. It's an interesting setup to go for this Maroczy setup immediately. Question here is, do I want to play with f4 or do I want to protect the e5 pawn with pieces? And that's an important question, because e5 is clearly the target of black. That's just like a French defense. So I need to decide whether f4 or bishop f4 was the way to go. I went for this because I was not comfortable opening up the a7 g1 diagonal. Usually when there's a pawn on e5, what you can do as white is to attack on the king side, because the e5 pawn chases away the knight from f6. You see, now I can play queen g4 because there's no f6 knight. I'm attacking the g7 pawn. Also queen h5, preventing castling, but I don't think I'm afraid of my opponent castling. If he castles, bishop to h6 is winning an exchange. Thank you, Csaba. I think it's easy for a Hungarian person to pronounce Maroczy correctly, but Peter Swidler, yeah, kudos to Peter Swidler. His pronunciation is impeccable, even if it's about Hungarian surnames. Yes, bishop f8 is a sad move that had to be played, or g6 was the other option, but none of them was very appealing. I understand that it's not what you would wish for. How do I want to place my knight? Do I want knight c3 and then maneuver, or knight to d2? Those were the two options. And now g6, you want to play with bishop to g7, I guess. It's taking time. It's taking time for my opponent to develop his pieces. So what I can do in the meantime is to bring the rooks, open up the position if I can. Not so easy though. It's not so easy to open up the position. Let's bring the rooks to the central files. That's what we learned. The other rook is going to go to e1, protecting my e5 pawn. And after castling, h4, h5 is my idea. If he pushes h5, I will drop back the queen, probably to g3, not give up the h4 pawn. And in the future, I will try to create some kind of a pawn break here. I'm not going to give you this bishop because I think this is an important piece. And in general, I don't want to trade pieces. I want to attack the king. I need attackers pieces. I need attacking pieces. Attackers, was I was going to say. h5 is my threat. I think he should prevent it. Also, I have this d-file pin, so an idea could as well be chasing the knight away and knight e4, but the knight will go back to d7, so it's not such a big deal. He's allowing me to push h5, which I like. I think h5 as black was an important move to prevent this. He's not afraid of me pushing and going for either h6 or h6 g6, which I think is brave, but I'm not sure that it's going to be good for him. Do I want to play bishop g5 or h6 or a mix of those ideas? This is looking very nice for white, but I should be precise and probably faster. I should be faster. I can do this and then bishop to f6, so I will have an f6 pawn if we trade on f6, and the h pawn is about to capture on g6. I think this is the most precise because h6 would be nice, but it would have allowed him to close the position. Now I don't want the position to be closed. If I take on g6 twice, I can sacrifice a bishop there, but rook f7 protects on g7, so I'm not winning in that position, that as far as my calculation goes. How do I want to play this? I want him to take on f6, but it's not so easy. I need to protect it first. Like this. There's a possibility of protecting it. I want him to take either with the knight or with the bishop. Of course, it would have been even better for me if he has to take with the bishop. And he's not forced in this position to capture there, but it's annoying that I have a bishop on f6. Once again, it's a 2-second increment game and I have half the time of my opponent. Did I miss that? Was that just hanging? No, I don't think I missed it because I take here and once he takes on f6 I take back with the queen. I think it's black who missed this. This is free stuff for Anna, a free piece. Miktal, what happened? Miktal, you thought that you might take on e5. Are you still with us? I see that there's a disconnection. Please don't be upset. This is just a game. Miktal? Yeah, you're one of my most supportive members of my community. Where are you, Mick? Where are you, Mick? I understand that this might be... It's of course painful whenever we blunder like this, but okay, you're back. So it wasn't that you didn't want to finish the game. I appreciate that you would not do that. I was worried that you might be... I could just trade or still try to give mate by keeping the queens on the board. No, Miktal is here and I think he had connection problems. I don't think it was anything on purpose. There are still some tricks now because of this pin. So what do I do about that? I move the queen. f6 was a threat. I want to take on g6 multiple times. So let's take as I promised. But if I sacrifice on g6, takes, queen takes check, queen g7. It's not too bad, is it? It doesn't feel lost immediately. Oh, I should hurry up. Maybe I shouldn't try to win this on the spot. I don't want to take on d5 because that would make the c8 bishop awake, alive. I don't want to do that. I'm bringing the knight to f4, h5, f4, and capture on g6. That's another idea. I'm threatening on e6 as well. Okay, now I'm gonna take here. Because now this is... When you have all your pieces in the attack, then it doesn't even take much calculation. It's just gonna be mate. So it's mate on next move, h7 or rook h5. Both were mate. But I was telling you guys about... First of all, thank you for the game, Miktal, and I'm honored that we have played our first game. I think it was a good fight. I think it was an interesting game. You got into trouble here in the opening because after queen g4, it's unpleasant for black to have to deal with the g7 pawn. If you push g6, I might just play... No, I can't play bishop h6 because this is hanging. I was going to tell you I can play this, but no, I don't have time for it because the queen is hanging after knight takes e5. So perhaps g6 was still the best without bishop to f8. It looks ugly, it looks weak, but with bishop f8 you lose quite some time for this maneuver. It wasn't deadly. It's not like I'm completely winning. I think I have quite some advantage here as white, but it's not winning on the spot. After the bishop getting to f6, it is super unpleasant. because of the weaknesses on the dark squares threatening on g6. I would have definitely prevented h5 if I was black, pushing h5. I know it looks weakening. It does weaken the g6 square. I have to drop back to g3, but it keeps the position closed for the moment. It's gonna take me time to move the queen away and push g4. I think this was perhaps a better chance for you and not allowing my bishop to get to f6. Something along that line. And but here it's just miscalculation. I think you thought that you will be able to take my rook after bishop takes, queen takes, something along that line. It does happen to me too as well, like a couple of times when you miss something in your calculation based on something that you imagine that you would have but you don't. So these are kind of ghost calculations. You see a move that is good for you, but it did not happen in the game because it doesn't exist. There's no way of winning back the material. So this was just simply a miscalculation. The problem for black is that even if you don't give me the free piece, there's not much counterplay here for black. And white is threatening to bring the rook simply over on the third rank. For instance, rook e3, rook h3, or the other rook if I need to protect the e5 pawn, then rook to d3, rook to h3, and then I want to take on g6 and mate on h7. So it's a lot easier for white to play this with the bishop on f6, pawn on h5. Very nice position for white. I'm afraid that even if you don't give me the piece, this position is a nightmare for black. You can't really even go for things like c5 trying to push d4 because the d5 pawn is weak as well. I think this was a very tough position simply for black, regardless of the blunder. Thank you for the game. Fuchsia, you made a similar move like this with a mouse slip. Was it a mouse slip, Miktal? Oh, 1f6 you played, Fuchsia. Yeah. Do Crusher, you have a day off. That's great. It's always great to have a day off and have some rest. I will go for another challenge. Please challenge me with increment. You know that today I'm going to play with increment. I'm not trying to look at usernames. This is popping up without me trying to look. So I will mix things up. I don't want to pick anyone on purpose. Trying to choose as many of you as possible, as randomly as possible. I'm looking at the time control mainly and not the usernames. Nico 2803, nice to meet you, from France. I love France. I've been to France 20 times perhaps by now. I played in a French club, French team, Blunder, that's where I met Fiona. We had been teammates in that club for about 10 years. Ever since I was 16, I was playing for that team. I did not play in the past few years, but I think it was about a 10-year career in the French league playing for Blunder. And that's where as I told you, that's where I met Fiona. Najdorf. So you do learn from Sopiko. Nico, I don't like that because Sopiko is a great teacher. Alright, against the bishop e2 variation, you can play with e6 or e5. Those are the two setups. I like when black plays with e6 because then I can go for one of my favorite positions. I will show you now because I think we will reach it no matter what. What is atomic chess? Mikta, I agree. Even these news are sad, whether you knew the person or you might have just heard of her, or in general, like there are so many things to be said about in the world actually. So if we wanted to be sad, there's always a reason to be sad. Today you can choose to be happy, of course, and I do suggest that. Don't let me influence you in a way that is going to make your day a bad day. No, I also want to have a good day. I will put on music after the stream. Music makes me cheerful. I start singing and dancing and it can turn my worst days into good days. So do that. Don't let sad news and sad things in the world affect you too much. yes, there should be a place for grief and for sad emotions, because if we did not do that, we would be not human. There's a room for all sorts of emotions. So today, for me, there's plenty of room for thinking of Nino and for thinking of how fragile life is. Apart from that, as I told you, I always try to see the two sides of the coin. And I take this as a reminder also for myself and for anyone, that you should take advantage of your life, and you should appreciate your life as long as you can. So do that. Seize the day, appreciate the moment, live in the moment, and make the most of it. I will do that. I will do that. Easy Rider, I agree with you. There's no happiness without sadness. E5 opens the position up, so now I've got control of the F file, and after trade on F3, which I'm expecting, bishop takes F3. The knight doesn't really have a good square. I will take back with the queen. No, queen not, because then I'm missing the pawn. Okay. Recalculate, Anna. Bishop takes F3, queen takes is bad because of queen takes E5. So yeah, I think here... Okay, I'm missing the point. Bishop takes F3 is a bad move because E takes F6, and both the queen and the bishop and the other bishop. So 3 pieces will be hanging after bishop takes F3, E takes F6. It's equal material on the board, but black will lose one more piece. Forget about bishop takes F3. So if he cannot play that, he had to move the knight to d5, but the queen side is king side. I'm looking at the king side. Bishop h6 means an exchange on the spot, because black has to play g6 and give me the f8 rook. Now what I'm looking at is even better moves. Do I have something even better than winning an exchange? I can take on d5 and see if he takes back with the bishop or pawn. If bishop takes, I can take with the bishop, force him to take on d5 with the pawn, and knight f5, threatening the g7 pawn, but then g6. So perhaps it should be a mix of both. It should be a mix of winning the exchange and then preparing knight f5. This is a winning position for white. As announced, I'm gonna take here. I'm gonna play this move, win the exchange, knight f5, g6. I don't see, do I have anything? Knight f5, g6, I can take on e7, but the knight is protected, so this should be the best. Oh, Shellingford, you're completely right. I missed that bishop f6 is actually an option here, because if I take the bishop... No, sorry. Actually, it's complex. So it's very interesting what Shellingford is suggesting. Bishop f6, if I take with the pawn... Okay, I'll show you after the game. But it was an interesting point. I did not think of that. Interesting point. E6 looks tempting, but knight takes... yeah, I was going to go for e6, and if queen takes, I have check first. If e6, knight takes, does that make sense for me? No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like it makes sense for me. Or, actually, Well, why not? Why do I want to play a move that's not so good, right? I don't know. I like it. Let's just play normal moves. I don't need to go crazy. Okay, let's not give up my queen for free. It's one thing to pay attention to. Bishop c5, c3. Or queen c5, queen b6, c3. Protecting the knight. Exchange up, pressure on the f7 pawn. I might push e6 in the right moment, but I'm looking for the right moment. Is this the right moment? It's not the right moment because I'm dropping my knight. You see, this is not the right moment at all for pushing e6. So I had to move my knight away, protect the pawn. It's not protected anymore. And yeah, perhaps I had to sacrifice it earlier because now it's dropping. Okay, he cannot take with all the pieces because in the end, the f7 pawn should be falling too, right? Okay, what I'm gonna do, I wanna move my king away. I don't know if this is the best idea, but I will do it anyway. If he takes, I'll pre-move this. Because that's something to pre-move, right? Now he has to take with the rook, if not, queen takes f7. Rook takes e5. And now in this moment I would have had to have the rook on d1. Yeah, I should have played rook d1 earlier. And then I would have had rook to... No, I wouldn't have had rook to rook takes d5 because there's always check. The queen gets out of the pin with a check. Oh, and then Nico loses on time. That's unfortunate, Nico, because you actually fought very hard. You lost the exchange and that was pretty much a direct line. I will show what Schellingford told us, which was really interesting. But before that, I just want to mention the final position is not that clear-cut. I'm still in exchange up, but you have won a pawn. So you have a piece and a pawn and quite an active piece setup. So it's not that simple to win this. I think I misplayed this somewhere big time. Because in this moment, I don't have a problem with the e5 pawn. Actually, I was calculating this. I was telling you guys about e6. Because if the queens are traded, I have this intermediate move. E takes f7 check. And then I will take the queen. So e6, black has to play knight takes e6, which protects the queen. It's a fortunate occasion where the knight takes a pawn and at the same time protects the queen. So now if I take on e6, then he can take my queen. There's no check with the knight. If I take here, I've given up that pawn. It was interesting, but I don't think I have achieved much because bishop c5 or bishop g7 are coming anyway. I don't know. I'm not sure what was the most accurate. I was looking at moves also, ideas with knight f5, but the knight is jumping here to e4 anyway, so actually this wasn't that simple. White has to be winning, white is an exchange up, but there was no direct win. What I missed, and my opponent as well, Nico, thank you for the game. It was a very interesting game, and in the end it was only the time issue that decided the game. Bishop f6 was a very interesting defensive resource. I cannot take it with the pawn. I mean, yes I can, but I'm not winning a piece. Because after e takes f6, you trade the queens, and then therefore there's no more pin on the g5. You can take the bishop on h6. Although the king looks still very weak. With moves like knight f5, attacking the h6 pawn, or also threatening knight e7, rook f4, bringing the rook. This could potentially be still very dangerous for black. But it's better than losing material, I guess. And the other variation, rook takes f6. There's knight... Oh, no, it's not working, sorry. Okay, bishop f6 does not work because of rook takes f6, and there's no time for knight e4, of course, because this is mate. So this is a momentary blindness from all of us. All of us who thought that this might work. It does not work because of rook takes, and there's never time for knight e4. So yeah, there was no way out. you had to play g6 and give up the exchange, and then you fought so well, so you defended very well after losing the exchange. Yes, your pawn structure is damaged, Nico. I agree. It's difficult. But still, I think there's some practical chance for black to hold this because of what I mentioned. Especially this knight on e4 is a strong piece. All you need to do is not lose the d5 pawn and keep the f7 and d5 pawns protected, then you have good chances. Let me go for a last game, and that will conclude our session of today. As you know, both Sopika and I wear black in memory of Nino, a very strong Georgian chess player who passed away yesterday. And that is the reason why this session is not very much upbeat, not so cheerful as I normally am. But as I told you, two sides of the coin. It's very sad, but without sadness, there's no happiness. And without knowing how fragile life is, and without constantly reminding ourselves that we don't live forever, probably we wouldn't appreciate life that much. So do appreciate your life. Don't play d4 to appreciate your life. Just kidding. Very bad joke, of course, but I do like the Rossolimo more. This is quite a sharp variation with bishop g4, white trying to push d4. We are not getting that position, will we? d4 here. I think I can. There's no way this can be taken if I will also open the e file and take more pawns with rook e1. Okay, he's going for it. So what's the deal? Rook e1, bishop f5. I know that there's this very concrete variation. How does it go? Maybe actually I don't have to go for that. I'll just take here first, and if he takes back, I'll take the queen and knight takes e5. Yes, it looks like Ponziani, I agree. The structure. d5 here. Makes sense. Much better than d takes e5. I'll develop my pieces. I want to get rid of this e4 knight because it's a strong piece. The only developed piece of black, but it's a strong one. Kaito Kid from Germany. Nice to meet you. Okay, will I want to take on e4 at some point or right now? In the future? Rook e1. I'll take because I want to develop my bishop. Knight g5 is an option, but the bishop will drop back. Do I achieve anything by playing that move? Perhaps not. Perhaps nothing. Ooh, bishop g5, bishop takes f3. I was going to miss. Don't do that, Anna. You've already blundered enough today. There was queen a7 check and rook f5 in the last position in the previous game. Insane Chess is saying, perhaps, yeah, might be just right. I don't have time to look back now on that game. I will try to finish this game. But yeah, certainly there could be something with the king on g1 being vulnerable. Check, rook f5. But the king would have gone to h2, so there's no knight f2 check in the end. I don't think I'm losing material there. If you don't get a fork with knight f2, the king can go to h2. All I'm doing is developing my pieces, bringing them to the central files. The rooks go to d1, e1, usual setup. c4 is a threat because of the pin on the d file. It's not that big of a threat, but it's in the air. So he plays c4. Now, if I take on e4, that's not a good thing for me. I'm going to lose an exchange because I take the queen too, but it's for the price of my rook. He's threatening bishop to d3, which I need to deal with, so I will move this rook away from f1 and not letting bishop d3 happen. Yes, Fuxia, I agree that knight g5 e6 might have been interesting. I'm slightly cautious here because I was looking at a way, if black could ever achieve the bishop appearing on c5, that would be very unpleasant, the two bishops attacking on these diagonals. But I don't think it's happening in the future. It wouldn't be mortal. I mean, it wouldn't be that dangerous for me because I can always play knight d4, and it's not happening now. So those are just ideas. I'm looking at patterns. Will the bishop ever get to c5? This is a good move because he's threatening bishop to c5 and also my b2 pawn. If I take on b6, I'm opening the a5 for him. Unpleasant for me, I must admit. But I will take because I believe that here I can mess things up. This structure is quite a peculiar one. I might go knight d4, attack the c6 pawn and see what he does with the c pawn. The d3 bishop has become very strong. It's restricting my position. My rook doesn't have much room because of this bishop, neither the other rook. h6, do you want to play g5? You might want to play g5. Do I care about that? Maybe I don't. Bishop to e3, attack the b6 pawn. Or knight d4, attack the c pawn. Knight d4, this should be the way to play because it's not only about the c6 pawn but also about aiming to push e6, open the e5s to have some play for my pieces. If I can open up the position with e6, I think then I'm better because I will have the rooks on the e5. I cannot do that until the bishop is hanging on f4, so it wasn't an immediate threat, but that's something that I should calculate in the future. Now knight c6 would be a square for the knight that's weird, it's almost trapped, but at the same time it makes black have to deal with this capture and the bishop doesn't have much room. So it's very concrete, and next move I would like to play e6. Or take on e7, depends on how he reacts. Now this is the moment for me to push e6. I feel like. If I didn't, then the whole thing with knight c6 wouldn't have made so much sense. Everyone here in the chat, if you can help Nico with how he can open the analysis board on Chess24, I would really appreciate it because I don't have time to go through that now. If you can tell him in the chat or send him an example, a link, any way to show him he's a new member here, and welcome to the new premium members here on Chess24. Please help your fellow Chess24 members. Yeah, you see, Fuxia is already helping you. Fuxia is very helpful. Oh, yeah. Well, if we trade everything on e8, I don't want to play against a pair of bishops. That's the thing. And trouble is, if I take twice, bishop c7, I can go for the b6 pawn, but king d7 wins a piece. So I really want to play first this check and make sure that we are playing an opposite colored bishop endgame instead of me having to fight against a pair of bishops. I could trade rooks. Do I want to? Actually, perhaps I should play for a draw here because after taking with the bishop, it's certainly not me who can get out of that pin easily. So yeah, I think that was the moment where I had to start playing for a draw here. Sometimes that's the thing, that your position is not winning anymore, doesn't have winning chances, then you should deal with what you have. An equal position or slightly worse position. Now this is equal. I don't think that I'm in trouble, and I can go for g4 ideas, so I can also try to create a passed pawn. It's never easy with these positions, And I don't have much time. Actually, I could have also tried. Okay, now this should be very good for me. Suddenly I enjoy my position a lot. Because I'm going for the c5 pawn. And also I have managed to create an f5 passed pawn, protected passed pawn. Suddenly tables turn. Even a boring looking endgame can be dangerous if your opponent is too ambitious. So I think Kaito Kid is very brave, but at the same time he was pushing way too hard. And I have two passed pawns and I don't think he can stop both. The a pawn and the f pawn. This should be winning for white. So, do I want to play this? No, let's just push this first. I don't mind that the king is on f6. Why would I? I only need to start pushing the a pawn because there's no way he can come back with the bishop. I mean, he has to play bishop c2, bishop a4, bishop c6. This was the only way. Now I have this passed pawn. All I need is to get into his position with my king. Okay, I'm gonna go for these pawns here. There were for sure easier ways to win. Or not. This is easy too. Thank you, Kaito Kid, for the game. This was quite a complex game for the whole time. I felt like after the opening, you did well. Because here you reacted well. d5 should be the right move. And you managed to get this bishop to d3. From here on, this was an unpleasant position for me. I was telling you guys that if I don't take, bishop c5 is an idea, queen takes b2 is a threat. The bishop on d3 is very strong. So I go knight c6. Perhaps it's just equal the whole time, but I had to be precise because the way you played, I think you did very well. Here I cannot take on e8 twice and win the pawn on b6 because I would have lost a piece with king d7. I'm losing a piece. So the only way for me to bail out and not play this endgame, this would have been a nightmare. Playing against the pair of bishops when this one on d3 is a monster already and the f6 bishop is also strong. King d7 ideas. Okay, I many times have knight e5 to bail out, but this would have been really not something I want to play. An almost trapped knight, pair of bishops for my opponent, less space for me, my king is not easily activated, f3, king f2, I have to play. So this would have been worse than bailing out immediately. And here I was telling you that I should bail out, I should go for the draw. Because if I take with the bishop, yeah, it is still a draw. But I have created a pin on the e-file. So apart from the fact that I'm struggling to activate my king, I also now have to first defend this bishop to then be able to move the rook. But where's my rook going? With the bishop on d3, my rook doesn't have a nice open file. The only open file is the one with the e file. If I move my bishop away, I lose my rook. If I protect the rook with the king and then move the bishop, then we trade rooks anyway. So sometimes you should realize these moments in the game that even if you don't like draws, like I don't like draws, you still have to play the most correct move. And in this case, the most correct move was to not allow the pin and not make your life even more difficult, but just play this equal endgame where black should hold this easily. So this is an easy draw. The only thing is that Kaito Kid went very ambitious, and that's something that I definitely should congratulate in your personality and in your attitude toward the game, that you wanted to win. So you go for g5, which is too aggressive. On the king side, I have a pawn majority. That's 3 pawns against 2 pawns, which means that if you start pushing, if you start forcing things on the king side, I will have a passed pawn, not you. It would have only worked if you win a pawn with this move g5, but otherwise don't push. Don't force issues on the side where you are weaker. You are 1 pawn weaker on the king side. So yeah, if you don't do that, if you play, let's say bishop e4 check, and come back with the bishop, just, okay, maybe not this sense, because I can always go, I'm mistaken, it's not so easy. I can win the c5 pawn once again. So yeah, then perhaps you should, wait a second, this is not so easy as it seemed. Now I'm realizing that I have actually good chances. You should keep the king on e6, because if you keep it there, Anytime I go bishop c7 and bishop to b6, you always have king to d6. It's passive, but at least you're protecting the pawn. And it's not that easy for me to create a passed pawn here. I should try. I'm just making moves for black now with the bishop. It's not so easy to push f5 with the bishop controlling that diagonal. So I think the king on e6 was safer, making sure that you keep this c5 pawn as long as you can. Even if you lose one pawn, it wouldn't be a disaster, but if I have passed pawns, two passed pawns, then it's just bad. It's just bad. One pawn and maybe one passed pawn in an opposite colored bishop endgame could still be something that you can hold. But the way the game went with my pawn on f5 and then I win the pawn, that's game over. Thanks everyone for joining me today, for hanging out with me even on not one of the happiest streams and not one of the happiest days in our lives. And that is because of Nino Hurtsidze. As I told you before, Sopiko has done a moving stream just before. It's a very emotional stream about some of the games that she has played against Nino. Please check it out on Chess24's YouTube channel, Sopiko's stream about Nino Hurtsidze and what a great attacking player she was. As I told you, don't let this influence you in a way that it's going to make you sad for the entire day or entire week or entire months. There's so many sad things happening in the world. If you watch the news and if you watch news about war and the children dying and so on and so on and so on, I don't want to come up with a list because I will make you depressed. Think of the other side of the coin as well and appreciate that you are where you are, that you have today. Today is a gift. This is a new day in your life and it's a finite life. So take advantage of your life as long as you can. And I'm telling this to myself too. I'm not here to depress anyone. Appreciate your life and seize the moment. Just make the most of what you can. Make the most of today and of every day. I'll see you next week. I think it's gonna be a happier stream. And as I promised, I'm going to now listen to some music. I'm going to sing and dance and look at the sunshine and cheer up and appreciate the life I have. See you next week. Bye-bye.